Welcome back to another macro day here at Scriptcase by Jamie. And today we're going to explore SC include library. Yes, it is another macro for macro day. But before I do so, let me first apologize for the sound because as some of you know, I have been moving and of course, well, that means some adjustments. And more of those will be coming soon. So today, a crucial tool for reusing code and enhancing the functionality of your applications by including PHP files from libraries within Scriptcase. So let's dive into how this macro can make your development process more efficient and organized. So right now I am logged in Scriptcase and we have here a blank application. Now we can use this SC include macro within pretty much every single application there is. The blank application, calendar, chart, grid, search, form, well, all of them. The menu, responsive menu, tree menu, control form. There you go. It pretty much covers all of the applications as well as the majority of events that are available in those. So just give it a go and you will find more than likely it will work just about wherever you put it. Now the most important thing about this macro is that you first of all need to have your libraries prepared. So let's just have a quick look at that. So here in our tool menu we have here external library, and within external libraries we have here available public libraries as well as project libraries. And we can select the type of library that we want just by simply selecting it, public or project. We apply our name, our library. I'll just call it our library for now. We can add an underline there or anything else you like. Go create, and then that library will be added here into our project. So now this is very important because now we need to first of all enable this library. So I select here use library, and if I scroll down again we can now see that we have the remove library option available. Now once I've done that, I then also need to save those project libraries so that those files then also become available to my project. And then of course once that is available I can go ahead and edit the project anytime, or the library anytime I want to, and then I can include here my library files. So here for instance we could create a new file, we can create a directory as well as upload a zip file or individual files if you really like, but typically a zip file would be much simpler. Now we can of course create a new file here, so I will create a new file here and I will call this admins.php for instance. I will go create and let me create another one, and then this one I will say users.php for instance. Now within either of these PHP files, which are now library files, I can now add any type of code I want. So that is of course entirely up to you, so depending on what you want to have applied for admins, for users, or whatever your library consists of. Now that could be of course for PDF generation, or maybe changing the view of your application. There are so many options here and you can add any of those. Now the most important part of this of course is how to add these libraries into your project. So now let me go ahead and close that, and then at the bottom here we don't have the saved project libraries available no more, and that is very important, meaning that the libraries are now available. These files that we have just created are also available within the library and our project because we have defined project. Okay, so when I come back here to my application and I want to apply this macro, I then need to include SC include and library. And that is pretty much our macro. Of course, there is a lot more to it because we need to define here, first of all, our target. Now, our target is essentially our public or project. Now, I should note that public is indicated by sys, S-Y-S, and then we have project, .prj. And then with those, we can then include those files within our project at any time we want to. So let's define that first of all. So here I would then say it's PRJ because they are available within our project library. And then after that, we need to then define then the name of the library. And that was just admins, wasn't it? So we can just double check that here in the external libraries again. We can scroll down here, open up our library by editing it, and then we have here our library files that are available to us, and admins and users is what we have available. Now, so what I'm going to do here then is add then admins.php, and that is then our library name. Now, I did miss a very important step here because before any files, we also always need to know what the library is called, what the path is called. So really we should include that beforehand, right? So let me add here another comma and then add in here our library name. So I'll come back here to my external library, close that, scroll all the way down here and rename that our library. So I'll just come in here again and add that here, our library, and that is then targeting our library. If that makes any sense. Okay, so we have project, our library, directing to the library that we've created, and then the file. Now, of course, within our external library, if I scroll down again and open the library up again, remember we can create directories in here. So here I could create a sample directory and have my libraries located within that folder. And in that case, then I would want to add then here the folder name before the admins.php. Now in this case we have those files in root, so we can just leave admins.php. Okay, then we have the option to include once. So we can set that as true, and that will then only include our external library once, which the majority of times will be the case. And at the same time, then the final option we have is require. And that is also optional, and we can set that as true also. And if these values are not defined, then the default value is also true. Okay, and what I want to do here today actually is not just include the one library, because we've just created two libraries that we want to include. So what I'm going to do is we can spin this up a little bit, and we can add an if statement in here, and we can then just go ahead and switcheroo this. And we can then include here the SC library again, but this time for maybe our users. So here I'll add an else statement, and then just like that, we can change the library depending on who logs in, for instance, or depending on, of course, your application. And then here I could say the user type, for instance, whatever that is, or the user name if I wanted to, and that could then equal then the admin or whatever you have specified or set up within your own application. Now, generally I would think that you would specify here the user login maybe, or the user group, and in those cases you may want to set this then as the global variable for those. And that would then be, of course, user login or user group, depending on how you want to have that defined. And in this case, user login equals admin, or it really depends on your own setup. Now, the logic, of course, does include or provides the ability to include any type of library based on your own defined runtime decisions. That's exactly what we've just done here. So it's a pretty straightforward macro to use, and at the same time, don't forget sys and project or PRJ are your two main options for your target. And then we specify the path, the file, and then if we want to include that once, and if we want to require it. Okay, so requiring it means basically if the file or library doesn't exist, well then the application will of course return an error, because you're just saying require it on purpose. We need it all the time, and well, if it's not there, then you will have an error message within your application. Now, there are various practical uses for this. It is particularly effective in large-scale Scriptcase projects where, for instance, you have multiple applications that share common resources, functionalities, that could be authentication, logging, or utility functions even, whatever you have defined there. It does help reduce that redundancy, as well as ensuring that updates are shared within your code and propagated across all relevant applications pretty seamlessly. And that is of course pretty important. That's why we use Scriptcase, right? And you guessed it, that's a wrap on how to use the SC include library macro to streamline your code base within Scriptcase, as well as of course enhancing the modularity yes, the modularity of your Scriptcase applications. It's super powerful and a very easy way to maintain efficiency as well as consistency across your development projects. Now, of course, if you found this tutorial helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, comment below if you have any questions or maybe some insights. Share how you've used the SC include library macro within your projects. And of course, stay tuned for more Scriptcase tips and tricks. So thanks very much for watching, and of course until the next macro day.